What is your take on Wealth Principle 34? Accept what can be changed and create an advantage.
The thing I think about with negotiation, where I see most people fail, is clarity. They don't have clarity in what they want. They don't have a reason for why they want it. And so when they get into negotiations, they get squishy and they start to lose their footing. It reminds me of, we have a lake down the road from us, and there's a marina and a lot of boats in there. And years ago, I was out there at night, standing there, and I saw this boat like sitting really low in the water. And well, we stepped on it and it started sinking. And then it kind of went to the bottom. Oops. The reason the boat sank is because the hull, the ship itself, it was compromised. And so if you think about it, when you compromise yourself, you're doing the same thing. You're putting a split in yourself that allows you to start sinking, sometimes slowly, sometimes very quickly. But if we compromise, we sink. And so what I think about whenever I go into negotiation is, what is the ultimate outcome? I get really clear on what I want, why I want it. And then I get really clear on helping them get what they want. Because when we're talking about negotiation, we're talking about really making sure that everybody is happy at the end of the deal and everybody has a win-win. Otherwise, it's not a real great negotiation. And so understanding what we can do to get really clear on what we want and what they want. And when we have that, everybody walks away from that deal excited about what they got, focused on what's forward, and there is no buyer's remorse in it. And so clarity is real key when you start to negotiate.
Clarity is power in negotiations. Know what you want and know what you'd be willing to compromise on in advance.
This topic is phenomenal because at the end of the day, all we're doing is negotiating. We're negotiating with ourselves. We're negotiating with our family. And this is why I love it. It's all about communication. It's about connecting. It's about understanding what the needs are for someone else. And one of the things that's really important is also for clarity is knowing your bottom line. Like knowing when you're going to walk, like just have so much certainty. Because if you're not clear about that, like you can be clear about your outcome of your desired outcome, and that's tantamount. But if you don't know where you're going to walk, you're also in a new conversation because you could slowly be eked away and go past. And then you could at the moment be excited, but then realize, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't what, right? Because if you're like, I got to get the deal at any cost, and then sacrifice. But that clarity is power. Negotiation is about communication. It's about connecting with people. You know, communication and understanding people's needs and what they want is some of the best skills to bring into any negotiation, which gives you the ability to do what you were talking about earlier with your tonality and all of that. You get to connect with people where they're at.
What I want to stress is the importance of this, like in terms of what you work on. I mean, if you have a list of things you want to work on, push this to the top, because when it comes to negotiating, it's one of those things that you immediately see tangible results with the improvement of your ability. Ask for what you want. Focus on tonality and ask for what you want. And to go back to another wealth principle, go for no, right? If you ask for what you want, you're essentially going for no, because you're going to get more no's when you ask for what you want than if you ask for what you accept. But you're also going to get what you want more often. So, and this just even popped up with one of my friends. Like, he was raising the prices on his jobs and he basically asked for what he would accept. And I was like, well, why did you drop it? Like, why don't you ask for more? And if he says no, then second thing is, this is, what, and then you'd end up where you want to be anyway, but why not take a shot at getting more? So now, you're getting paid a better wage overall for each job. So ask for what you want.
If you're not asking for what you're worth, you got to go get more volume, get more people in front of you, because eventually you will have to raise your prices. And if you want quality clients, you want to get to that level where you got quality prices.
I want people that want to learn about crypto to go to Amazon and buy this book, because it just came out this morning.
When I first learned about negotiating, I thought you had to be such a hard ass. like that's the hard line. Like, what's your bottom line? Like, go in and, you know, and be like super strong. But as I started learning more about the art of influence, I realized that the best thing that we can do, the best analogy I can give is like being like water. And water is, if you think about it, it's the softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. And water can shape mountains, right? And water has these principles within it. So when it comes up against opposition, it knows what it is. It doesn't question, am I water? Am I wet? It doesn't even know to question, you know, what it is. But when it comes up against a rock, it behaves differently than when it's up against a twig, or when it's up against a brush, or when it's just flowing in a stream. It also understands what it's dealing with, where it takes many forms. It knows when it needs to be solid or hard. It knows when it needs to be misty or soft. And it understands it's a shapeshifter, but it never loses sight of what it truly is. And so the most, like Doug had said earlier too, the most flexible wins. And there's nothing more flexible than water. You know, so if we think about the number one principle of water, it's relentless. It never ceases. It never stops, but it is super flexible in how it rolls. And so I think that if we can be like water more often, what's the end result? Water is either going to help you grow, it nourishes, or it helps you grow. So either at the end of it, you're going to learn something or you're going to get something, but it's relentless, but it's malleable, and it can be whatever it needs to be to get where it wants to go.
For anybody who doesn't know, Heidi will be a speaker at the event at the 100 Millionaire Summit coming up in October. Building your business plan and connecting with the right people. Mike Schein, you're up next.
I will say for me that what has changed since I met Walter and read all these books is I am focusing on creative versus competitive. And that is super important in my life too. You know, because it used to be an ego and you got to win. And a lot of times people, they don't even care about the outcome. They just want to win. That happens a lot in closings. You know, there's something silly going on where people are fighting over like how much oil is in the oil tank for proration. And it's like nobody really cares about the $200. They want to win. And what I found is that if you take a step back and you're just creating something that works for everyone, things go much smoothly and there's no contention. So I'm usually the first person to throw my ego out the window and say, fine, if you really want to win this argument, fine, you can win it. But what I want to do is get everybody happy. You know, I want the seller to close, the buyer to close, and the realtors get paid, everybody gets paid. So with that, more of a vision of how can we create something that works for everyone and put the ego outside the closing room, that's been something that's been really valuable for me.
Oftentimes when we think outside the box and that flexibility and creativity, we can bring things into the negotiation that to the other side is high value, but to us is not really a big deal. So we're looking at, okay, wait, so if we've really done some needs assessment, we've really connected with the other person, we may understand what they really like, what they're really going for, and be able to do stuff that is really no skin off our nose at all. But to them, it's huge. And it could be, and this is where win friends and influence people, like that thought of like what you can bring in, like naming the street after you, or, you know, these other little things outside the box. They go, ooh, oh yeah, you're going to do that, and it puts you over the edge and it moves the needle, and that's where that creativity comes in. So sorry to jump in, Mike, but that was that just inspired, like, you know, practical application to what you shared, because that was brilliant.
I love that. Coaches working off each other.
It's one of my favorite books, Never Split the Difference. I read it probably 4 times, and I've used it practically in negotiations. And the biggest takeaway today for me is asking those 3 questions. Why are you telling me this? Okay, now what's behind that why? And then how do you really feel inside yourself? Why are you telling me this? Like Chris Voss, he talks about the first why, and then goes deeper into the childhood, and then it goes deeper into like what's the real legacy you're going after or want to leave behind, and what's the real trigger. So all these whys help you to paint the picture for that person in front of you, what's going to happen after negotiation is over. And I think that listening to the whys, really getting to the bottom line of that other person and painting that picture for them really helps you to close the deal as a win-win. And if you can nail that, that person will soften and you will get what you both want. So start with why, really get to what they want. Don't stop after first why, go after the third and fourth. And then once you figured it out, what is really important to that person in front of you, you can paint that picture. And I know Melanie Santos uses that to buy subways, which was brilliant. She told me how she painted the picture for the seller, right? The person will really trust you in that situation. They would know, like, okay, they get me, they understand me. Okay, it's like moving that needle, like Doc said. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway, and it helped me in the past. So hope it will help you.